All right, good morning, everybody. I think we're all here. If we're not, oh well, the door's open. So good morning and welcome to Conversations with Ourselves. And I'm really glad that you're here. Some of you are back from the last talk, so thank you. With the last talk, we talked about adaptability, and if you recall, I spoke a lot about fear and uncertainty and starting things before we're ready. And honestly, that was an exercise in adaptability for me because I was terrified. That's not my phone. I was terrified. And the whole point, should I wait? It's Barb. It's her children. It's her children having meltdowns. We'll start again.
No pressure.
No pressure. This is life.
You're being adaptable.
I know. I learned about adaptability the first time, so here we are again. But yes, the first talk was starting things before you are ready, because if you don't, you will miss out on a lot of opportunities. And now that I've done this once, I can't use that excuse anymore. And I'm in the awkward stage where people, like Tegan, expect me to do this again.
You better.
By the way, there's a talk in June. I'm like, oh, okay. So that's really what led to this talk. Once I got past the fear of standing up here, I spent a little time thinking about the voices that were in my head while I was doing this. So today is not about being perfectly positive. It's not about endless confidence. It is about balance, and how balance isn't stillness, it is adjustment. And for those of you who are at the first talk, I did bring another piece of gym equipment. However, I will not be making you do a burpee. But I'll get back to this whole shenanigan later. So if we haven't met, which I have met everyone here, my name is Juliana, and I am a health and wellness coach here at the Y. I'm also the founder of Lily Loves Life, which is my coaching platform. And I'm a psychology student. I'm also a parent, and a friend, and a sister, a neighbor, and all of those roles bring out different versions of me. And now for my water break. This time I didn't put ice, so there's no clinking, but I don't have a straw. So recently, I was dealing with some kid drama. My younger son was having a complete end of the world moment about something or other where he just thought he sucked at everything. And afterwards, I was talking to my older son, and I said, don't you ever do that to yourself. Don't you have that voice in your head that's sometimes telling you you can't do something. And he looked at me like I was completely insane, and he said, no, I don't talk to myself that way. And honestly, I was shocked. I thought, okay, I mean, that's available because I thought everyone had this internal critic following them around all day long. And it got me thinking that maybe this voice isn't universal. Maybe it changes. Maybe sometimes one becomes dominant, another one becomes louder. And the interesting thing is the same kid who doesn't have this internal critic, he's a runner. And I'm one of those annoying, embarrassing parents on the sideline yelling, "You're awesome! You got this! You're amazing!" Because amazing parents do this. And he comes up to me after a race and he says, "That's not helping. I need you to tell me you're slow. Pick it up. You're not trying hard enough." And I thought, well, isn't that fascinating? Because maybe he doesn't need encouragement the same way I do, because he doesn't have that voice tearing him apart. But what he needed wasn't shame. What he needed was challenge. And those are not the same thing, because challenge will say, "You are capable of more," and shame will say, "You are not enough." And I think that there's a fine line between the two, because challenge can easily turn into criticism if we're not careful. And encouragement and challenge, those two are not the opposite. Shame is the opposite, and that's a really important distinction. So, if this voice isn't universal, then where does it come from? Why does it get louder? Why are some voices very supportive, and why are others absolutely brutal? And by the way, I did give my son what he needed. "You're slow. You're not trying hard enough," much to the disgust of the other person.
But I swear he asked for this.
Bad child.
Very bad mother. So I carried on thinking about this voice, and I found something interesting in that I wasn't the same version of myself in every situation. And I expected very different things of myself depending on who I was with and what I was doing. So, friendships, for example, I think I'm very healthy in friendships. Barb. I have healthy friendships, reciprocal friendships, strong friendships. If somebody came into my life that was controlling or overtly negative, manipulative, I was pretty good at cutting that out. However romantic relationships, I was a complete disaster. I would ignore red flags and orange flags and blue flags. I would over-explain bad behavior. I would overcompensate. I would try to fix everything. I thought that if I kept everybody happy, that was balance, but it wasn't. That was just exhaustion. So how can we be so strong in one area of our life and then completely abandon ourselves in another? Maybe we have some versions that we trust completely and then other ones that we question constantly. There's friend Juliana, relationship Juliana, mom Juliana, trainer Juliana, Costco Juliana. But we don't want to talk about parking lot Juliana. Because of people who reverse into spots. As soon as I turn into a lane, it drives me crazy. And all of those versions hear different voices. And honestly, I think that that is human. I think the problem is we try to define ourselves as one fixed thing. You've done those job interview questions where it's describe yourself in 3 words. And I'm always thinking, which version? Because there's like 10 different versions of me. Because, you know, confident teaching a class, Juliana, and standing alone at a party, Juliana, are not necessarily the same person. And I think we often get stuck trying to define ourselves as one fixed thing permanently. As if we're either confident or insecure, strong or emotional, calm or reactive. And I think that we are all of those things depending on the situation. So perhaps it's learning to adjust between the different environments without completely abandoning ourselves. And also, I am in a healthy relationship. I've learned not to completely abandon myself. My partner is calm and patient and kind until this calm, emotionally grounding man that I'm with, who always pours me the first cup of coffee, saves me the last bite of food, clears my plate after dinner. You put him behind the wheel of his car, and suddenly it's, I don't think so, buddy. You are not going to merge in front of me. And I remember thinking, okay, so there's driver talk. Different environments activate different versions of us. Whew. I'm very hot. I do have a story, and I saw this on Instagram or something or other, and I've done versions of this myself. There's a couple, and they're fairly new in their dating journey. And it's after a date, and they get in the car, and the girl turns to the guy and says something vulnerable, something like, I've really been enjoying our relationship, and I would like us to keep seeing each other. And she's expecting this big emotional response. And he turns to her quickly and says, sure, yeah. And now she's spiraling. Yeah? What does that even mean? He doesn't feel the same way. He doesn't want to keep seeing me. I'm so embarrassed. Why did I say anything? And then meanwhile, there's a thought bubble above his head, and it's saying, these windshield wipers are just terrible. Or texting. I mean, texting has absolutely destroyed some of us emotionally. You know, you're sending someone a message, something like, let's get together tonight. Would you like to get together tonight? And they reply, sure. And now, your brain, at least mine, becomes a forensic investigator. Sure? What is sure? That's not an enthusiastic yes, that's not absolutely, that's not I'd love to. And now you're looking at punctuation, and sentence length, and response time, and why did they use that emoji? And meanwhile, the other person answers, standing in line at Costco buying roasted chicken. So, our brains do not like uncertainty. We often interpret emotional meaning with incomplete information. If we don't know the full story, we will fill in the blanks very quickly and oftentimes negatively. And how many of you have had entire arguments inside your own head? I will wake up at 3 a.m. to go to the bathroom, and suddenly my brain decides to reopen every emotional case file from the last 15 years. I will defend myself, I will explain myself, I'll imagine their response, I will answer their response, and meanwhile the other person is asleep. And honestly, I still catch myself doing this with Todd 4 years on. I might look over at him and think, oh no, he's bored. He's disconnected. He's not interested. He's looking for a way out. He answered with sure. And then I say, no. He is mentally planning next year's vegetable garden. Not every silence is about us. It's not rejection. Not every thought we have is truth. And not every story our brain creates deserves authority. So, I have some worksheets like the last time. And before we get our inner voices arguing, I would like us to take a moment to look at ourselves. So I want you to pay attention and give some attention to those different versions of you that you move through in your life or even just in the day. And I don't want you only to focus on the negative ones. I would like you to include one grounded, confident, safe version. And that could be friend you, it could be parent you, it could be work you, it could be social media you. And you'll notice some of these versions will sound calm and confident, some of them will be reactive, some of them will overthink, and some of them will spiral over a text message that says sure. And I want you to notice the voice and the language that's running underneath it, because I think oftentimes we just move through life automatically without paying attention. So, I'm handing out two things. Maybe we can I'll start here, you can hand that out, and then I'll start over here and you can pass that around. So don't overthink too much. Just go with it. Oh, these kids are running out just when it's time. They're like, no way. We're not doing this homework. No, I don't know if all of you guys had a chance to hang out with Gail and Ben, but they were our co-op students for the last few months, and they did a great job entertaining me for sure, but helping out and trying to stay and making people laugh. All right, so after looking at these voices, I started to realize something else. So remember that emotionally grounded son that I created through my flawless parenting. It turns out that he is human. So he came home after a grade 11 chemistry test, spiraling. I got 80%. I'm never going to get into university. I'm not going to get a good job, and so I'm not going to afford a good house. And I was like, that escalated quite quickly. I mean, even emotionally grounded people do wobble. Nobody stays perfectly still all the time. And, the problem wasn't that he felt disappointment. The problem wasn't the emotion. The problem was distortion. You know, he had turned one difficult moment into his entire identity and future. And I believe that we all do this. You know, one awkward moment becomes like, I embarrass myself all the time. Or one mistake becomes, oh my God, I suck at everything. I suck at this. Crying in front of people. You didn't get that the first time. You were disappointed. Remember, I didn't cry? Well, there you go, I cried. Or one rejection, we turn it into nobody wants me around. And this is where I started to think about this idea of fairness. So, you know, something happens, some sort of life situation, and our brains will often move toward distortion. So we will oftentimes become self-critical, where that voice is just tearing us apart. You know, and you're saying, I can't do this, I'm just terrible at everything. Or we might come over and inflate ourselves. So that voice is pumping us up unrealistically. Like, how dare you tell me I don't know, like I know everything, you know? So fairness will recalibrate. And fairness is closer to reality. So a fair voice would say, you're disappointed, you wanted to do better, you were stressed, and 1 grade 11 chemistry test does not define your future. Fairness will notice when we've gone too far to one side or too far to the other and bring us back to center and balance. So now, looking at those personas, I'd like you to reframe them. So we're not looking to create fake positivity. I just want you to balance them out to recalibrate. And we don't want to ignore these voices. We're just bringing them closer to fairness. And that grounded identity, you all included one that was good, right? I want you to use that as a guide. Because I don't think that we create fairness from nothing. I think that we all already have it. It could be your friend self is fair. It could be your parent self or your work self. Or your gym self is encouraging. And now, you know, we're asking what would happen if some of that language traveled to the other identities. So something like, I never learn anything, I can't learn, becomes I learn more slowly, but I still learn. Or I'm a terrible, awkward dancer. Well, maybe, but I really enjoy dancing. Or I fail at relationships, I suck at relationships, becomes I'm better learning what I do and don't want. So we're just looking to be more fair and to bring some reality into those negative statements. So back to your homework. So just try one. Just don't do all of them, Sarah. Just do one of those negative statements and try to reframe it. Not that it's perfectly positive, but just something a little bit more balanced and realistic. Well, this is what leads me to the next part of the talk. Why? Why did I bring a BOSU to our talk about the voices in our midst? And I believe most of us imagine stillness as, or imagine balance as stillness, nothing ever moving. As though emotionally healthy people never wobble, they never doubt themselves, they never spiral, and that's unrealistic. Are you guys ready for this?
Yes.
Balance. And I practiced with these shoes. Balance looks more like this. Oh boy.
You got
Okay.
it. Yeah, you got it.
Yes. Nothing here is still. Everything is adjusting. My ankles, my core. Everything is moving. Because balance isn't stillness, it's adjustment. Some days we overreact. Some days we spiral. Some days we collapse into self-criticism. And some days we overinflate to protect ourselves. But fairness will recalibrate. A fair voice will not turn every wobble into an entire future. An awkward moment will not become your entire identity. An emotional reaction doesn't become your character. Living things adjust. If you are wobbling, if you are recalibrating, if you are adjusting, you are not failing. It just means that you are alive. Because balance isn't stillness, it's adjustment. Thank you. The first talk I did the whole. So thank you for, I hope that sort of resonated with some of you. I think, with the first talk, I had mentioned that voice in our heads and how it prevented us from moving through fear and into action. And so I really wanted to elaborate on that. And honestly, in that first talk, there were so many voices in my head while I was presenting. Like, I just thought I was a total mess and I was a disaster. And while I was talking, I had said to them, oh my God, you're terrible. Like, they hate this. This is so boring. And Sarah had the forethought, that's the right word, to record it for me. And I was really against it, but I was really appreciative after, because then I was able to see reality. And all those moments that I had where I was nervous and I was stuttering, and they weren't as bad as what my brain and my voice had made it out to be. So that's where this sort of became a thing on its own, to explore that and to perhaps just not be so mean to ourselves and create more of a sense of reality. Yeah, okay, so we do suck at certain things, but it's not the end of the world, and we're learning, and none of us are perfect, and that's the beauty in us.
Well, actually, I don't usually say anything, but I was thinking to a moment where someone actually, by saying this little phrase, just switched my mind. And just kind of was like an aha moment for me. Because I was having a bad day. I was with the car, those sorts of days. Anyway, I took it in, sitting next to a gentleman, because I always talk to whoever's next to me.
Yeah.
Anyway, we had a nice little conversation. But, I was telling him all the things that were going bad that day. And he said, oh, well, that's great. Now, tell me one good thing that's gone wrong, or gone right with you today. And I was like, kind of like shook me for a minute, and it was just like, it gave me chills, because I was like, you know what, he's right. I was just thinking of all the things.
Yeah, we get absorbed in all the stuff that's not going right, and we're forgetting to notice.
But I also felt like I was venting too.
Yeah.
But then the fact that he said just to say, was like
enough.
That just a reset.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, for my different versions of myself, for the people who don't know, I have a younger sister who I love very much. And all of my other conversations with myself, I'm like the most passive, easygoing person. I think I'm easy to get along with. when it
Well,
comes
it's
to
debatable, but.
yeah, maybe not with you. Maybe not with you. But when it comes to my sister, who she's just only 2 years younger than me, but I find my job as her older sister is to just protect her from everything bad that can happen. So I find with her, I'm not passive. I tend to not be supportive. I tend to try to, because I'm trying to soften certain
Prevent her
blows.
from making mistakes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to be not like that with her, because I've been that way my entire life. And the things that she's gone through in her life, or that I've gone through, I've always tried to protect her from the things that could upset her. So, not that I'm not supportive, like I am, but
You're
I
trying to
think-
tell her what to do.
Exactly.
Yes,
No,
we
I'm really not like
anyone who's a parent, we understand. But yeah, it's showing her more than telling. I think, show her what healthy looks like. Show her what good decisions feel like, and listen. I think the biggest thing is like always being available to listen. And like I have this thing with my kids where no matter what they tell me, I try not to react immediately, even though I might be horrified by whatever it is they're about to tell me, but I try to stay not emotionless, but like sort of neutral, like, oh, okay. And I try to listen so that they don't shut down and not tell me anything, and then I don't know what the hell is going on, right? You don't need to agree with everything your sister does, right? And she does need to make mistakes to learn. Yeah.
I'm the same way with my children, mostly my daughter. And my daughter always criticizes me because she's like, you never listen to me. And so now when she comes to me with something, I'm always like, do you want advice or do you want me to listen?
Yeah.
And then it helps me to frame the conversation so that I'm not like, you should have done this, or like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you
Yeah,
doing?
because they're going to shut down immediately.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyone want to share one of their reframes that's not like too personal, or they feel like nobody? I shared mine because I did have like I literally beat myself up the first one during, and then watched after. It was like, yes, you were nervous, but that was human and it was okay. And even today, I made mistakes. There was a really good line I wanted to give. It was a joke, and I forgot it. So you missed out on that one. But yeah, that's just, it's how it goes. I think if we just...
There's no perfect answer. There's no one. Even the people on TED Talks. There's
No.
no one.
No.
Someone's going to turn around and say, I don't like it.
Yeah.
I don't like it because it was too perfect.
Yeah.
I know.
You never.
There is no such thing as perfection.
No.
There's
And
always going to be
perfect
mistakes
is
you look for.
boring anyway.
And it's boring.
Yes, it's very boring. So the poster again was my ideas, and my boyfriend Todd is a graphic designer, so he put together the visual for me, the same as the Adaptability cycle one that I used. So, and yes, I matched again.
It's very good.
Yeah,
Very good.
I like these posters. This is like,
Yeah.
I like the colors.
It's like on the fridge poster.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It is.
With the poster ball to keep the
Yeah.
balance.
That's right. That's right.
Look, the visual reminder, and
Yeah.
the family, the poster ball family.
And I thought Fabio would be very proud of me that I brought in the poster. I didn't fall off. The first talk, if anyone is interested and you weren't there, I do have it up on YouTube. You could watch it. And on this, there's a QR code. If you scan it, it'll go to my website, and then you'll find the links there. So, and if you want to keep in touch, you can do it that way as well. But I really appreciate that you guys came. I appreciate the newbies and the old geeks that came back. So we'll have to think of the next topic. Maybe it'll be how we support
You got
other
11
people.
weeks.
11 weeks.
11 weeks.
Okay. Okay. I'm stepping down from the front here.